Now broadcasting in 1.21 gigawatts. It's the Junk Connoisseurs. You're here with Alan, Jordan, and Alex. Welcome.
Hi.
I like the strategic pauses.
Those were dramatic pauses. We just blew our eardrums out.
Thanks, Calculon.
Calculon. Hey, Calculon's back. Alan, you mentioned you have a correction.
I have a mea culpa.
Uh-oh.
I talked about, a couple weeks ago, how great the cone system was on the minis. It is still great, but they do have shocks. Like
Okay.
the cones do not damp or dampen. I mean, nothing dampens.
So it is not, in fact, all about the cones.
It's just mostly about the cones.
Okay, mostly about the cones.
It's supposed to be about the cones.
And that I had to look up. I'm like, what was he talking about as I'm editing it?
That's a deep cut. That's one you're like,
It
I
is.
know I've seen that, but I can't place it.
So that is Parks and Recreation.
Cones of Dunshire or some
Something.
such nonsense.
Yes.
Hey, nonsense, my ass.
The most complicated
I
board
tried-
game of all time.
There was a board game company that tried to adapt it to actual
course
workable,
there was.
and they gave up. they're like we've been playing Catan for years. We play house rules on it. Yeah, this just doesn't work. So
Well, if they're trying to build a game based off of like the 5-episode appearance of
Right.
that board game, none of the scripting would have been structured in a way that made any sense for an actual game.
it's like have you ever watched New Girl,
yeah, some of it, yeah.
where they have the drinking game True American,
Yeah.
which is mostly
I
just
don't remember that part, but
just it makes 4 or 5 appearances, but it's a drinking game that mostly apparently involves just shouting random historical facts, shotgunning beers, and then playing The Floor is Lava. And I did find somebody who made up rules that were canonical, and they're like, this comports with all 5 episodes it appears in, and I'm like, wow, I thought I had some pointless hobbies, but Jesus.
Passion Pursuit.
So anyway, Mini Drivers, I am terribly sorry. I
Wait, why are we apologizing to Mini Driver?
because
That's going to get a sound effect.
nobody needs to apologize for Mini Driver. She's fantastic. But yes, drivers of classic minis, the cars.
Yes.
Yes, I am sorry. I said your cars ain't got no shocks.
All right.
I've been chastised.
That was... Oh, did somebody...
No, I
knock
just-
at your door and...
I started reading about them further, and I'm like, I probably should have figured that out when I was.
Well, like all the great podcasts, we do our research after the episode comes out.
Undue Diligence.
Undue diligence? Is that a legal term?
It is now. Just made it up.
I thought you was corn. All right. Do we have any shout-outs tonight? We've had a correction. Do we have any shout-outs? Anybody give us some love out there?
Oh, we did have an email in regards to the comment / old man rant about following a guy in a Mustang up Route E.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
I haven't read this email.
Well, it was from Joshua, who is one of 2 people who actually uses the email address to heckle us.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to know if it was a first-gen green Mustang, which is my father's Mustang. And I suspected that Alex would have mentioned that if it were, but no.
I'm gonna guess this was like an early aughts V6 Mustang.
It was probably, and I lose track of them at about that point. Probably a little newer than that. Most definitely a V6 and not driven by an old man.
Just
Got
driven like an old man.
Yes. On the other hand, the car I followed up here today was going a pretty comfortable speed. So, I don't know.
probably just like
Getting with the program.
a Kia Sophia.
It was some kind of Toyota Corolla or something,
So-
probably.
The more reliable version of the weird random now no longer available Korean car I used.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what a Sophia is. I mean,
It's just a compact
Yeah. Basically,
Crap
Kias
box.
to
It's
me.
that place in the mall where all the fancy ladies buy the makeup, I believe.
Okay.
They're in the strip mall next to the mall.
So Joshua thought maybe I was following your dad up Rowdy and was doing my old man rant about an even older man in an even older car than I was driving.
Correct.
Yeah, not the case, but I appreciate the concern.
Yes. Having driven that car on moderately windy roads, I would not drive it very fast. It feels like a car from the 60s.
Yeah,
Not great.
I was in a car from the 70s. It was doing pretty good. However, I have paid special attention to make sure that car does pretty good in those situations.
Except for fully bolting the body to the frame.
Oh, I've put a few bolts.
I said fully bolting the body to the frame.
I didn't unbolt it.
I didn't say you did.
That bolt apparently was optional. I don't know. No, there's at least one broken body bolt that's causing all kinds of havoc. It's actually not causing havoc. It had me really concerned that I was going to die in that car at anything over about 13 miles per hour. But I have since
Made his peace with dying in that car.
I've dulled my senses, and now I'm like, I ain't dying. Of course, you saw the seatbelt also that my daughter. It's about that ripped about halfway through, maybe more than halfway.
Is this the car you're in today? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I meant to tell you guys, and I may have told you, or at least one of you, that driving home from podcasting one evening when it was dark, I learned that car is capable of much faster speeds than the headlights or the bench seat should allow.
He said from the passenger footwell on a moonless night.
We thought the car was empty when we arrived at the scene of the crash. However, the driver was simply curled up under the dashboard on the passenger side. Okay. I did have a comment or even a question from a listener. Jake, thank you. Starting a new job and is going to be doing a commute again for the first time in a long time. So he's thinking about what kind of commuter car he ought to get for probably about a 45-minute commute, and wondered what the junk connoisseurs' take on an apt commuter car would be. So I'm springing that upon you two now. I've had several days to ponder it.
Did he give you a budget?
No.
Then
No.
how
It's up to
about
us.
a Bentley Bentayga? Yeah.
I saw
Comfy.
I don't know
I
what
saw a
that
cheap
is.
Arnage on Facebook Marketplace the other day, and I'm like, it's $12,000 Bentley, and it's actually like running, driving nice. And I'm
All
like,
right.
oh, so yes, Jake, and I know which I think is
Well,
this the Jake who
We'll start a
yeah.
group chat and we'll just start
Yeah.
bombarding him
Sure.
with our ideas
Yes,
of what a
now you've done it. Now you've done it.
A Bentley Bentayga, by the way, is like a at most 6-year-old giant SUV.
Start
that's-
about 250 grand.
Oh yeah, they're
Okay.
Yeah, they're comfortable. Oh, you can't commute any more comfortably. But
Yeah.
unless you bought a train, which I would presume you could also afford.
if you're buying a Bentayga.
Right.
Yeah.
He's commuting 45 minutes. Are we talking all highway here?
Yeah.
The answer is to go buy a first-gen Nissan Leaf, because with the tax credit you get right now, it's basically free.
Okay.
You get a $4,000 tax credit on a used car, on a used electric car, which is effectively worth about $4,500. And assuming he could charge there, which is kind of a big assumption to make now. I don't know where he's commuting to, but that means you could commute for free, charge at work, and then drive home, and essentially, save all your car money for fun stuff. And they're not hateful to drive either.
Is there a year limitation on the tax rebate thing?
I can't remember.
Because I thought
If
it
there's
was.
not,
I think there's a maximum mileage, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. You might end up spending a small amount of money on your Leaf in the end of
Still, I mean, they're not practical compared to modern, like newer electric cars, but they still got a 100-mile range. They're not atrocious to drive.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
Jordan
bet-
doesn't like them.
No,
I bet that was a polarizing comment. They're not atrocious to drive. We might get some feedback on that one.
My friend of mine bought one 5-6 years ago. He bought one brand new because Ameren was offering some $10,000 rebate to buy it.
Okay.
And he worked for Ameren, and he's like, well, I can't turn this down because this
Yeah.
makes this car, by the time he took that and the $7,000 tax credit, he's like, well, this $30,000 car cost me $15,000. And he commuted he actually works at the neutron factory out the nuclear plant, and he would drive it out there and back every day and, gas up for free at work. And then he retired and replaced it with a Challenger. So, good man.
No, it's not that I have anything particularly against the Leaf, other than it's built to a price point, and that shows up in a lot of places. A $4,000 Leaf is not going to have a 100-mile range. Maybe optimistically in the summer, but
you're saying that
Jake has to commute in the winter too.
The battery will have degraded. By the time it got to be worth $4,500, it's going to have a
probably.
Alan says batteries don't degrade. He's shaking.
Nobody.
I say Jordan's overly pessimistic.
This is a common argument we get from Alan on a lot of things.
Also, this is a conversation that 0% of our listeners care about. So
that's not true. We have weird listeners. Have you not noticed this?
I mean, that's fair.
I think 75% of our listeners are people who have died and the computer doesn't realize they're gone. Like, I don't know.
We call them cheese bags every time we have an episode, and they still listen.
Maybe.
I think. I wanted to point out that if there is no year limit on how old this electric car can be and you still get a credit. Remember back in the days when automobiles were just kind of starting to maybe think about replacing the horse and carriage? There were a lot of electrics, I think, in the mix back then, and it kind of got went the other way.
What about that city car from the 70s? That was like,
we know where there's one at.
Yeah.
It's a kit.
It looks like a piece
been
of cheese.
deconstructed into a kit. Yeah.
Yes, that car does look like a piece of cheese.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Now, if it's anything like other tax credits, at best it could be free, but still free. Like, they're not going to pay you $3,000 to go buy a $1,000 city car.
Well, it depends on how fraudulent you want to be in your bill of sale.
Not particularly. There are many ways.
The guy who's on the bar probably doesn't want to be too fraudulent.
You should stop dancing on the bar and get down. I'm sure that joke has never been made, ever.
I've only ever passed one bar in my lifetime.
That's a funny joke. If Jake would like to give us parameters, yes.
Budget.
Too late. By the time this episode comes out, he'll have already bought something, and I even told him that. The first thing that came to my mind, and even if I didn't have any time to think about this in advance, it's the only thing I thought of. You guys will remember that a few years back I was doing some cheap car field racing with some other people, and I doled out way too much abuse on an already wrecked, I think it was a 2007 Ford Focus with a 4-cylinder. Is that a Duratec 4-cylinder?
That one would be, yeah.
Yeah, it's either a Duratec or the previous one was a Z-Tech.
Okay. Had a timing chain, I remember that.
That's a Duratec, I think.
And
I think
an
the
automatic
Z-Tech had a chain,
transmission.
too. Maybe not.
By 07, I don't think you get a Z-Tech anymore.
Okay, anyway.
I'm not up on that era of Ford engine.
But automatic, front-wheel drive.
Those are great appliance cars. My wife drove one for years.
Yeah.
That car, I put fresh oil in it and made sure that the cooling fans worked. Probably checked the transmission fluid at some point and proceeded to flog it. And I mean, use it in a way cars are not supposed to be used. That is, off-road at relatively high speeds. We weren't going 100 miles an hour, probably even half that, but we were not on a paved surface.
And the one time I went up there, I recall there's some jump type situations, not necessarily big ones, but
it is not uncommon to see daylight under all four tires of a car.
It's a soft J. Yump.
Oh, okay.
We were yumping. Don't want to isolate that one. So I used that car for a couple of seasons of Sunday driving, and was really impressed with how durable that thing was. And if I had one in nice condition, I would totally rock that as a daily driver appliance.
As somebody put about probably 30,000 of the 80,000 miles we put on one. They are a very good appliance car, and they're cheap. And
Cheap, yeah.
they're comfy. They do everything well. If the seat doesn't kill your lower back, because they have like this, the seat design is enough that about half of people who sit in them are like, no, how do you do this? And everybody else is like, what? Nothing's wrong with it.
Yeah.
I fall into the nothing's wrong with it camp, but I know people who cannot abide it. Yeah, but they're great.
Well, my use for it, I didn't have any complaints about the seat, but my back definitely hurt afterwards every time I drove it. But that wasn't because
That may
of
have
the
been
seat.
some extracurricular contact.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
that was the
yeah,
one
yes.
that was the one that came to my mind, and I haven't been looking for Ford Foci in that range, but if one fell in my lap at a good deal, yep. So guess what we're talking about tonight?
Ford Focus.
No, not really.
Motherfucker.
I did pick out a vehicle tonight. You guys want to guess? Take any guesses at what it might be, or
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you believe it would be at yumping?
at yumping?
Yes.
7 or 8.
Wow. Those are big yumping numbers.
Let's see here. On a scale of swank, where is the swank knob for this vehicle? On a scale of 1 being the Chevette and 15 being the Pantera.
Oh, it's gonna be. That's a hard one to answer. 'Cause
In
kind of
its ideal form, where does it fall on the swank knob?
He still looks confused.
I'm just going
This
to put
might be
that
one that's only cool to us.
solidly in the middle. It is certainly one that's cool to folks who are into this kind of thing,
Yumping.
and therefore, like I was trying to come up with an example of people who wouldn't be into the Pantera, but there's certainly some out there.
Terrible, terrible people.
So
People who prefer to fit in a car very comfortably, like to the point of buying exclusively Cadillacs and Lincolns.
I prefer to fit in a car very comfortably, but I don't care if I have to saw my legs off at the knee. I'll drive a Pantera if you give me one.
You're still
I'll
not who I'm
stump
talking
my
about.
ass around if I gotta. If you give me a Tommaso.
we'll just put this in the mid pack range
Okay.
of swank. It's not ultra fancy, but it is loved.
Is it of the American persuasion?
As far as the manufacturer?
Yes.
No, it is not.
Is it?
It is of an American persuasion, but it is not manufactured by an American company.
On the Alex
That's
Alex
meant to be
trifecta,
confusing.
is it 3 for 3 or can it be ordered as 3 for 3?
No.
Two for three?
2 out of 3, that ain't bad.
So
Is
it's,
it-
And one of those 3 is a hard yes. And by that I mean it was only available with a manual transmission.
okay. The only available manual transmission.
Front wheel drive manual V8.
I'm sure they existed, but let's think about it.
Ooh,
yeah.
that cool Mercedes
Unimods?
vehicle transporter that they ran in the 50s to get SLs to and from the
Yeah,
factory at
that was-
140 miles an hour. That's front wheel drive, I thought.
Yeah.
Anyway.
okay. A front wheel drive V8.
Maybe that one wasn't front wheel drive. It just was real heavy cab over.
Yeah.
No, it's
I don't think it's a cab over
exclusively
Mercedes.
manual transmission.
Available in hardtop and convertible body styles.
Okay.
So it's not American, but Americans dig it.
And once again, manual only.
Yes.
Wow.
2 out of 3. Hardtop and convertible. Is there a chance he picked a front wheel drive vehicle?
I feel like yes.
Will you go outside and see if hell is frozen over? I think he must have. We've already talked about the
Does it have awkward origins?
Awkward origins. Give me an example of what an awkward origin might be.
we'll see when two nerds
not-
love each other very much.
You win.
I have not responded to that joke, even though we are on air and I'm apparently given carte blanche to do whatever I want. Refuse. A
always about you,
Lotus, was it Elan, the convertible from the 90s, the front wheel drive one? Because it was an Isuzu powered Lotus, front wheel drive convertible. I think it was manual only.
Manual only.
But it was a turbo 4-cylinder. It was front wheel drive from Lotus.
That would go 1 for 3 though. 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's true.
So it's either a front wheel drive V8, which I don't. Front wheel drive manual V8, which I don't think exists.
Yeah.
It's got to be a rear wheel drive non V8 manual only.
Ooh.
Is it an MGB?
It is not an MGB.
Okay. Hardtop or convertible.
Well,
We're on the British. Is it British?
It is not British.
Okay, he's breaking our streak.
Yeah. I
Sorry,
thought the Lotus
beating you
would be
back
too
down.
on the nose.
Yeah.
Beating you back down.
Yeah.
It was in an era that was carburetor, and it switched to throttle body fuel injection as time went on.
So manual only.
Is it the Chevrolet S10?
No, it's
That is
not.
American.
Yeah, that is American. One
The Isuzu Hombre.
Which has a, there you go.
But it had an automatic, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
one or more of us have owned one or more examples of this.
The manual only part is really throwing me off.
I'll admit, I learned that while researching this topic. I wouldn't have
Really?
known it. It's not a big deal that it's
But it is, so it's
manual.
something from the 70s to early 90s time period because
Yeah.
of the carb throttle body fuel injection
Yeah.
situation.
It's not American.
Is it Italian?
No.
Oh, damn. I thought it was the Alfa Romeo Spider. Because I think
That's a good
those
one.
were manual only
I
rear
think they
wheel
were
drive.
multi-port injection when they went fuel
That-
injection. But
that
still,
sounds
yeah, that's a good
legit.
guess. Can't be a Miata. You get an automatic. Also never carbed.
Man. So is it European or Asian?
Asian.
Oh, okay. Specific. Well, it's almost certainly specifically Japanese because of the time period.
Yeah, it's Japanese.
Is this a topic so wide Jordan should be doing it?
No.
Okay.
Well, he's going to do it. He's doing a specific model of
Yeah.
a certain vehicle, a la K70 Corolla.
Not really.
No.
And I'll explain that as we get
Was
into
this
it. Not
was
really.
this nameplate later available on a front wheel drive vehicle?
No.
Well, I ruled out Corolla.
Yeah, I was going
which
Celica, but yeah,
Oh yeah. Let's continue that road. Supra.
never carbureted.
Really? Okay.
I didn't even know that, but it's not a Toyota.
And I
Also,
would
you
have
get an automatic.
And I was
Yeah.
going to say, assume the first
Get an
one
automatic
was.
on Celica.
Yeah.
This is going to be super obvious when he smacks us with it.
Mitsubishi Starion?
No.
Never came with a carburetor.
Chevy Love.
No. You're getting a little closer in that it's not a sports car.
Okay. Could you get an automatic in a Ford Courier? I mean, it's not that because he didn't say yes.
Right. One or more of us have owned one or more of these.
Yeah, but I could totally believe one of us has owned a Courier at
Oh,
some
yeah,
point.
yeah. That's fine. I just thought that might help. One of us has owned one within the past 24 months.
The last 2
12
years?
months, yeah.
Oh. What have I sold lately? Do any of us own one now?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
God, this is the longest we've gone for a while.
Yeah,
But I have
this
the
is a
dumb.
bit of a stumper.
I don't have extra brain right now.
It's all right. It's a tough one. It's not in our normal.
Asian, rear wheel drive,
Manual.
only. So 4 or 6 cylinders, carbureted, then throttle body injection.
I'm going to give you a little nudge. Remember that rear-wheel drive doesn't only include rear-wheel drive. It can include four-wheel drive.
It's not Subaru Justy, but it could be a Subaru of some sort.
Could be,
Is it a Subaru?
but isn't.
Yeah. Okay. How many 4-wheel drives?
SUVs of some sort? No, because those would have almost exclusively been available with automatics as well. And those would have had two-wheel drive versions.
The automatic, the manual transmission only is what throws me.
Okay. Could it be had as front-wheel drive?
No. It could have been had at some point as two-wheel drive only.
What, the left side?
Rear-wheel drive only.
So rear-wheel or four-wheel drive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got to be some sort of truck, right? You're really
I'm useless,
failing
man.
me.
I got nothing right
You're
now.
failing me.
Is it a boat?
No, one of us had
Right in the butt.
one of us had a purple one recently.
Oh, a Suzuki Samurai.
It is a Suzuki
Wow.
Samurai.
I'm depressed.
Hey.
Because I've been looking at K-car SUVs online. Like, I want one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a hard one to get to, and I wasn't trying to stump you guys, but I also wasn't trying to get you there too fast, but
Well,
that didn't end up being a problem.
We have spent so much time talking almost exclusively about cars that sometimes it's just like whoosh right over my head, remembering that an entire segment exists that's
Yeah.
not...
Your Samurai wasn't purple. Sorry, I know. Like, this was silver. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
It's me.
Jordan recently had a Samurai, but I think he's purged that from the roles.
I didn't have it long enough to become attached to it.
Yeah.
And I sold it and made like $2,000 on it. So
That's a
I was
deal.
fine with
That's
that.
a deal.
Yeah.
So from 1986 to 1995 model years in the U.S., Suzuki made the Samurai. It was based on the Jimny in other parts of the world that they had been producing in various forms since the 70s.
I had an uncle named Jimny.
Yeah?
No.
We'll talk about some of the origins probably a little bit later if it works out, but it had a 1.3 liter overhead valve engine. It was carbureted and then later throttle body fuel injection. So the early ones had 63 horsepower and 76 foot-pounds of torque. Best I can tell, they weighed around 2,100 pounds, just shy of that. Manual locking front hubs. They were leaf spring and solid axle, both front and rear. Manual transmission only, as I mentioned, in the U.S. It was a 5-speed. But the Samurai was not exclusively, that name wasn't exclusively used in the U.S., but the one that came to the U.S. was the big engine, the 1.3, and it got a 5-speed manual transmission only. And they cost about $6,200 in 1986, or 1985 when they came out as 1986 model year. So that would have been about $18,000 in today's money.
Ooh.
Can't get money 4-wheel drives for that now.
No, that's
a buy. I mean, they were pretty agricultural too, but yeah.
Yes, these were lightweight tin can construction, but they were neat. I mean, I think we all agree. We've all ridden in one at least. They were really cool little off-road vehicles. That's what they were built for. And I don't think, based on kind of some of the stuff I read, I don't think Suzuki quite appreciated how well they were going to catch on in the U.S.
Or how litigious Americans can be.
Yeah. Well,
Brought to you by Consumers Union. F you, fun cars.
Brought to you by Food Enough. Are you always on the go and simply don't have time to plan or prepare nutritious, inspired meals for yourself and your family? Have you tried meal kit delivery companies only to find out the ingredients and menu too pretentious for your liking? Well, at Food Enough, we take the hoity-toity out of meal kits by offering basic meal kits of highly processed, quote, ingredients, unquote. Simply access the app, choose an effort category. We have, I could use a microwave, and dude, a can opener is too much effort tonight, and like 2 other categories that I can't or don't care to remember. Soon, you'll receive your order and be noshing on Vienna sausages, aerosol cheese, and Ritz crackers. Or maybe you're feeling like canned tamales with a pudding cup for dessert. Whatever mood you're in, as long as hunger is involved, Food Enough can help. It's not fresh, it's Food Enough.
Sign up today on our website and use code CHEESEBAG, and we'll send you a free 64-ounce jar of ranch with every Food Enough delivery.
But yeah, with the leaf spring and solid axle, manual transmission, these were not a powerhouse, but man, they were really good at doing off-road stuff. So they quickly gained a following with folks who were into that sort of stuff. I think back in the 80s and 90s, they were just kind of hey, we'll buy it, we'll drive it, it'll be a daily driver. But I can't imagine doing that now. I actually looked up when the national speed limit changed from 55 to 65 and later 70, and it was during the lifespan of this vehicle. And having owned one of these things, between the low power output, the gearing, and the death wobble that comes and is inherent in a lot of straight axle four-wheel drive type vehicles, I don't think they were capable of 70 miles an hour in regular operating conditions.
Mid-60s, I think, usually.
Yeah.
And that was flat out, foot to the floor. All it had to give on level ground.
Yeah, 0 to 60 time I saw was 17.2 seconds with a quarter mile elapsed time of 21.2 seconds at 64 miles per hour.
That's slow.
Yeah, it might have gone 70, but that's...
That'd be really fast for a 50s economy car. Sorry, I was listening to the mini episode, and we were all like, that's pretty good for a 50s economy car. And that's not good by yonder standards.
Well, and for what it is, it was pretty good, but it wasn't something that was built for interstate travel.
No.
Yeah.
So it was a little surprising that it took off the way it did, but again, it was $18,000 in today's money. You can't buy many things for $18,000.
I mean, the logical next step up would be a Jeep CJ, which I'm sure at the time was, 30% more expensive probably.
Yeah.
And 30% bigger.
Yeah.
But still.
Both of those are right, and I think as a result, these outsold the Jeeps by about 2 to 1.
Really?
That's the numbers I see thrown around. I didn't look into the factuality of it, but yeah, they outsold the Jeep Wrangler of the time. This was squarely in the
Wrangler era.
first
No
era,
longer
the
a
YJ
CJ.
Wrangler.
Square headlights. Nobody likes square headlight Jeeps. Good Lord, what kind of person would pay good money for one of those? And then continue to work on it and weld in patch panels and
Now you're
replace
starting
that badass skull rear view mirror.
Now this is starting to sound personal. What?
I'm beginning to think these aren't random examples.
This is Alex, I have a YJ Wrangler that is of 1992, so still within the same time frame as a Samurai, and I've owned a Samurai. And while the Wrangler is not comfortable at highway speeds, it's capable of highway speeds.
It's a Cadillac compared to the Samurai.
Yeah,
See, the only thing I remember about the Samurai was being folded into the back seat of it at one point when we went to the back 40, and
Same.
I wish I could enjoy this ride, but my knees are by my ears, and
then we hit a bump, and your ears were above the top of the
it's like,
roof.
wow.
Which is a real problem when it's a hard top.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
it keeps you from being ejected.
that was a rough day for me because that was the day that Bob flipped over these side by side, and then I rode with Maggie in your Samurai.
Wait,
and she
Bob flipped over the side by side?
Yes.
I heard.
I was in the passenger seat.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I was there.
Bob was joking when he said you flipped the side by side.
No, he crashed it into a ditch at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a slow crash versus the one that Bob did at moderately high speeds and rolled it.
You're
didn't even give
I don't
me
feel safe in this. I'm going to get in a Samurai.
At least it had a roof,
Yeah. Which
then I slammed into.
Slammed your head into it
Yeah,
a couple
I was
times.
wearing a baseball cap
Yeah.
and I had an indent in the top of my
now,
head.
It's now the Zagato Samurai. It's the double bubble. There's two people in the back. Just
Harry and the Hendersons.
bashed giant
Gurney bubble.
Could you ever use fifth gear in your Samurai? Because I couldn't in mine.
I don't remember ever having occasion. I probably put it into fifth gear at some point. I bought that. I trailered it home. I didn't buy that.
You were given.
I was given a Samurai. That's a funny story. I decided I'd seen a couple of Samurais come and go on Craigslist, and I'd looked into them a little bit, and I thought, man, these things are cool. I wonder if I could find one. And I this is Craigslist days, put a want ad out. I'm interested in purchasing a $500 Samurai. And a guy is like, I have a $500 Samurai I will sell you. It was 2 hours away. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's probably a good deal. Can you send me some pictures? Sure. Week or so later, he comes back with pictures in an email that says, I'm sorry, I cannot in good conscience sell this to you, for it is too rusty, rustier than I remembered. I will, however, give it to you for the price of coming to get it, your fuel to come up here and get it. And I raced to get the trailer hitched up and get up to Turksville, Missouri before he could change his mind. And that vehicle then, it lived at one friend's house, and then I probably drove it up to our mutual friend's house, and it pretty much lived there until one time it stopped running, and I think it probably mostly just had fuel issues, and I towed it back home, and it sat for a while, and I decided I'm not doing off-road stuff, and this thing can't do on-road stuff safely or competently or confidently, so I did some trading, and I don't have it anymore, but...
It escaped the fate of most of Alex's off-road back 40 vehicles in that it is not an inadvertent coral reef at the bottom of Perchy Creek right now. As was one of his square-body Chevy trucks for a good 2-3 years, and then you pulled it out and drove it, if I remember right.
No, it hasn't driven since then. I did relocate it to be a reef on my own property, and a potential parts donor someday. But so I don't have that one anymore. But you guys have to admit that the Samurai was a whole lot of fun as a toy in a field, doing some hill climbs and some little trails. We never got to really do serious off-roading, but it was one of the more fun vehicles to do that with, I think, and pretty capable. It was surprising for that little underpowered 4-cylinder that it would climb some of the hills that we
It's got
climbed
like
with
513 gears, I think. I'm pretty sure it's geared down.
Yeah, I don't
high
remember.
fours, low
I don't
fives.
remember specifically what
But
they
yeah.
were geared at, and they came with they did not come with the 235 75 15 tire because that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
They came with like a little 215 or something.
215
Pizza
70,
cutters.
I think.
Yeah.
They came with little tires. They were really, to look at a stock one, it's people rave about their off-road prowess. Well, most people have done a lift and some bigger tires and some modifications, and therefore it's really hard to find one in stock condition because they look pretty tame stock, but it's surprising what they'll do in completely stock form.
They also rust. Oh my God, do they rust?
That is why I was able to let mine go, because it was simply, as the seller donor told me, you can have it because it's rustier than I remembered. It was very rusty, and frankly, I didn't see it being worth fixing, and I don't have those skills anyway, says the guy who's fixed a bunch of rust in a Jeep by now. But they did rust badly. And that's another reason it's hard to find one these days. A few other things about them. In 88 and a half, they did a minor revision to try to make it a little bit more street-worthy.
Civilized.
Slightly wider track, I think, somehow. Maybe not. Softer springs, stiffer roll bars, I think better seats, different gauges and that kind of stuff. In 91, they got a throttle body injection set up, which upped the horsepower from, 63 to 66 horsepower.
Woo!
And in 1994, the federal rules maybe changed to where you needed 3-point seat belts for all occupants in the vehicle for the rear seat, where that used to be the front seats had 3-point seat belts, the rear had lap belts, like most of the vehicles I own these days are that way. And Suzuki's response to that, rather than coming up with a way to mount rear 3-point seat belts, was to simply omit the rear seat for 94 and 95, the last 2 years of Samurai production. I can't really blame them for that.
The rear seats on a Samurai are bad. Like there's no way to sugarcoat it. I have been uncomfortable in the rear seat of a lot of vehicles, and that may have been the worst rear seat accommodations of anything I've ever crammed my fat ass into.
Yeah.
No, where the seats were just like a piece of foam on a round tube frame.
They were not. I mean, I was more concerned about the fact that it was apparently designed for amputees, because there was like that much space between the seat and the seat in front of it, and then there was no place for your legs to go.
I definitely sat sideways in the back.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, so the last 2 years didn't have a back seat. 1995 was the last year, and then they phased it out, and it was effectively replaced by the Suzuki Sidekick, also known as a Geo Tracker, which had been out since 1989 and sold alongside. Yeah. And it was just a little bit more modern and roadworthy, a little bit more powerful, 1.6 liter.
Independent front suspension.
And it had independent front suspension, so a little bit more appropriate for maybe an everyday driver than this.
And they were still tiny. They were not a big car, but they wwere a good foot in every direction bigger than a Samurai.
Yeah.
And but that was enough to make it like, okay, I don't feel like I'm in a beer can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've upgraded to a green beans can.
I suppose.
Green beans can. Yeah, so that was when things phased out and they went to the Sidekick. And part of that, I think, was due to people catching on to that, well, this isn't the best interstate highway travel vehicle. No longer has 4 viable spaces to sit, even though I don't know that anybody was going on long trips with 4 people in this thing anyway. And also in part because of something that happened, these vehicles were not known as being great road handling vehicles, particularly in a high-speed swerve situation. They were accused of being easy to roll over by Consumer Reports, the magazine, and that did a lot. I remember hearing about that on the news whenever I was of an age to be interested in these things were new, and that was a pretty big deal. All of a sudden, these things were dangerous.
They called it not acceptable in 1988.
And I'll be the first to admit, these things are dangerous. Because they're driving around. Remember how big F-150s and stuff are getting at that point. And F-150s weren't all that big at that time, but I'm just thinking about traffic.
You're triggering him.
Yeah.
If you, this is the damn well should have known better defense. Look, if your dumbass buys a Samurai and then I got hit by an Expedition and now I ain't got no legs, it's like, what did you think was going to happen?
I'm not making that argument.
Right.
I'm not arguing against you on that. Yeah, they were dangerous, but we know it. That's why I'm driving in a 78 Malibu with a half-severed seatbelt tonight. I know what I'm up against.
Well, okay, so the thing is that these were obviously small and rather specifically built. But at the same time, you could also get a Geo Metro convertible, which was
I thought about that.
Which was basically a Power Wheels. The regular Geo Metro, which was more structure than the convertible, but still rather petite. The Ford Festiva.
Yep.
Help me out here. What else?
See, Consumer Union's beef with the Samurai wasn't that it was unsafe in how small it was. Their beef was that you couldn't
moose test.
The moose test. You couldn't swerve at 55 miles an hour and miss a moose.
Yeah.
And the thing is that a lot of vehicles couldn't do that very reliably, and even the Samurai didn't tip over every time they tried to do it.
No. Not even close.
I think it was 3 out of 15 they managed to put it on its side.
It sounds like they had to work real hard at it.
And this was the era. This was the era when the IIHS, and this was approximately the same era when Dateline NBC was saying that these saddle-mounted gas tanks in square-body GM pickups are terrible. So they did, side impact crash testing, and at slow speeds, and it's like, well, it didn't explode. well, what if we strap a bunch of model rocket engines to the gas tank and give it a little help? And they did.
Fine
GM won that
journalism.
lawsuit.
Fine journalism.
I mean, that was the thing. It was sensationalist, and I can't knock Consumer Reports that hard because I think for the most part they do good work. But 6 years later, Suzuki sued them and said this was unreasonable, and Suzuki won.
Yeah.
I just am curious to go in the other direction. How well did something like the Ford Bronco do? Because I can't imagine it was good.
Slightly better. The thing is the big thing that's going to save you here is wide track.
Yeah, I get that.
And that's the thing is that, well, we talked about the Mini and how they redesigned the Mini to be wide, the original Mini to be wider than it was because it didn't handle well, and it would, even high performance front wheel drive cars of a normal size, you can get the inside wheel off the ground. With a Mini, it was easy.
Yeah.
And they didn't function well as a tripod. So the Samurai was about the narrowest thing available in America, and I think that was why it was,
Well,
the whipping
so
boy here.
I'm just, this is kind of off the cuff here, but Suzuki just took a vehicle that they were building as a K-class car is where it started with 359cc engine. And through time, it got a little larger, not a lot more powerful. And I think it was pretty common to see it in other markets with a 1-liter engine.
Yeah.
They put the big engine in it, as I said earlier, the 1.3 to bring to the U.S. and sell it without a whole lot of other changes or polishing to go into the United States and be sold. And probably thinking, people are going to drive it around in the city and maybe in agricultural, or in back roads and that kind of stuff and enjoy it. To have it perform a swerve, and I didn't even remember what speed the swerve test was at. Was it 55 miles an hour?
I think it was 45 or
Okay.
55.
Okay. That's 55, and a swerve is that's a stretch because 55 is getting close to full song in one of these things.
Yeah.
And the swerve on pavement's not the problem. It's the ditch you run into when you miss whatever you were trying to miss. That's just what I'm thinking. Consumer Reports, on the other hand, I read a couple different things, and I didn't go too far down to find out, but somebody close to somebody at Consumer Reports was involved in a rollover crash in one of these vehicles and had now it's personal, right? And so they went out, it sounds like, do your own research on this, but it sounds to me like Consumer Reports says, we're going to take this thing down. We're going to go out on the track and try until we roll this thing. I wouldn't do it.
Did you read this on a Suzuki fan site though?
No,
because that's my thing is anytime you're going to the fans and like when you were talking about the Pinto fans, like Pintos don't blow up, like. Yeah, they kind of do, man. Did. I mean, yeah.
So you ask where I got this from. Various sources, and a lot of them are citing actual quotes and this and that. And I don't know what all's real, but I can also see both sides of it. But they wanted to roll this thing, and so rather than stick to their standard test, they
zhuzhed it up.
They found a way to roll this thing over, and I think. I'm looking at a Samurai or even my YJ Jeep and thinking, if I want to roll this thing over, I can get it done.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's easy to do.
Field trip.
And I will also tell you, I have purposely tried to roll a car one time in a field, and I didn't have the nerve to do it. I tried, and I thought I did. I was excited, and I was like, and then the transmission died before I got it.
What was it you were trying to roll?
That Protege that I had at the back 40.
Those aren't gonna roll. They're too short.
Have you seen me drive at the back 40?
Yeah, that's fair. I've seen you. I saw you drive at the Northern rallies. I have been in a rollover wreck. It is unpleasant.
Yes.
Having to disconnect your seatbelt, drop onto the ceiling.
Were you driving or riding?
No, I was riding.
What's the deets?
It was a Blazer. It was a friend in high school, and I don't think my parents know about that one.
Do they listen?
No. Well, my dad's mentioned he might listen, but we're so deep in, and if he does, whatever. This was literally 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
No, he had a tire blow, and Yeah.
So it wasn't even a dumbass move. It was.
I mean, we weren't doing the smartest things, but we were literally driving away.
from the house we burned down.
We were doing donuts in a gravel parking lot, and we had stopped, and then he was driving away, and the tire blew
it
as
always
we hit a
goes.
pothole and then rolled over. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But yeah, no, we landed on the roof, and you had to disconnect the seatbelt and climb out through the broken window.
I've never been upside down in a car, and I'm okay with that.
Well, I think if you want to turn a samurai
can be
over,
done.
it can
Yeah.
be done. And they had to try, from the accounts I saw, and it wasn't from fanboy sites, but it was certainly I've seen both sides of it. But they had to try pretty hard and break their own test.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go outside their own test parameters to make it happen.
And I think that's why Suzuki won the lawsuit. Is like,
Yeah.
you're not judging anybody else by this standard.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you probably know more about the lawsuit based on your history.
I was the one who
He's a
sued
grocer.
them.
No, you're the one that sued him.
I'm actually Alan Suzuki,
Alan
heir to the Suzuki fortune.
You could see that you could roll one of these over if you wanted to. They had to try real hard, but I don't think anybody was looking. I don't think anybody was very surprised to look at a Suzuki Samurai and find out that it could tip over in an extreme situation. Who was surprised?
I'm
by
pretty
that?
sure if I ran hard enough at it, put my shoulder into it, I could tip it over in the parking lot standing still.
I guarantee you the three of us could put one on its side without trying too hard, just by lifting. But
Well, and
that's
then
not how
The
crashes
other
happen.
end, the other end of it is we could then pick it back up and put on its
Right.
tires.
True. But so it seems like to me a little bit of this is many years in the future, but it seems like well yeah, they tip over. Look at the thing. It's got a roll bar. And who's driving 55 miles an hour and swerving around? You said a moose. I guess if I was going 55 miles an hour in moose country, I'd try.
There's a test now in, I think it's one of the Scandinavian countries invented it, but it's kind of used in a more worldwide fashion called the moose test or moose swerve test or something like that. But basically, it's you're attempting at highway speeds to shift a lane in order to avoid a large animal, specifically a moose, which a moose is large enough that if you were to hit a moose, your car may just disintegrate around you.
Moose are designed to kill people in a car crash because they're like 8 feet tall and 4 of it is legs.
Yeah.
So you're basically designed in any modern vehicle to hit them in the knees and force the 1,200-pound carcass of the moose through your windshield.
Yes.
Yeah, which is not ideal. So yeah, they lots of SUVs have failed the moose test in the last 20 years, and it's kind of entertaining to watch as manufacturers try and scramble to fix it.
Homework for tonight, watching YouTube videos of the moose test. They called it, Consumer Reports had a acronym for it or something, but it effectively came down to a double lane change maneuver. Swerve quickly into one
then
lane
back
and
into
then
your
back
lane.
into
Yeah.
the other. And you've seen the
Yeah.
footage, and if you haven't, you will, seen the footage of the Samurai with the outriggers to keep it from rolling over, but allow it to tip. And they had to work harder to get that thing to tip than I thought they would. I was pretty impressed with some of the footage where it didn't tip over.
So the solution is Suzuki just sells the outriggers.
Yeah.
With every new Samurai. Free outriggers.
Simple dealer installed safety kit.
Yeah, and then you've just got to drive everywhere with the pilot car and the chase car and the oversized load banner, which is like 6 feet wider. Just the banner is 6 feet wider than the Samurai you're hanging it on.
They sell those, but they have just like quick release pins. So like Suzuki says you have to keep these on, but then as soon as you pull out of the parking lot, you yank out the pins, and there you go. Now you have drag bars.
You should never pull these 4 pins while you own that. You should never do that.
And don't ever connect a Nitrosport here and jumper these 2 wires to make the fuel pump run hard.
So this fits into another category of cars that we've done a few of now, and that's cars with debacles or fiascos associated with them.
I think we need we've talked about doing another bracket. We haven't done a bracket since last March. We need to do a debacle bracket. Pinto, Fiero, Samurai, first gen Explorer.
Corvair.
Corvair. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
all of these things where we basically just come to the conclusion that the safety industry is full of shit, and we should be able to drive whatever we want. Sorry.
Good luck with that.
I mean,
Yeah,
lawyers ruin everything. I've said it before, and I stand behind it.
From the mouth of the onlyest lawyer on this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, that's really the bulk of what I rounded up to discuss on the Samurai. I guess we can transition into the would you buy it?
Wait. Motorsports. Have they ever raced the Samurai? Because I think that would make a hilarious, like, spec class.
If you see if you see footage of these things traversing any terrain at high speed, it's ridiculous, and there's no way people survive that with the spine intact. And I know because I've been in one of these things. It's fun at 5 miles an hour and under on an unpaved surface.
See, I was immediately picturing Spec Samurai as literally just a carbon copy of Spec Miata. So it's all on track, and they're all lowered and have sticky
they're
tires.
all lowered, running in a tight pack at 54 miles an hour. Just,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Ooh, maybe it's Rallycross, and they have little dirt sections you got to do too. Yeah.
Either that, or you get the aforementioned outriggers, and you just like send them through a rallycross course, and the winner is the one who gets on the outrigger wheels the least. It's like the one who maintains. This is a thought.
Our new class.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to back up a little bit. The history, if we want to talk about it a little bit, is it started in the late 60s by the Hope Motor Company? They were building a little K-class four-wheel drive vehicle, and Suzuki was looking at coming up with something like that, and this company was either bankrupt or nearly so they just bought the company who had only built about 45 of them. But they took it and revised it into what became the Jimny, which has been a worldwide, it's been going since 1970, and I think it's still going today.
Oh, yeah.
Through 4 generations. And they have all been solid axle, four-wheel drive vehicles. And so that's kind of the back history of them. But it was interesting that they started as the K-Class car, was it 360 cc's or less?
Yeah, 360cc twin.
The original was
a
an
two-stroke,
air-cooled
Yeah.
two-stroke 359cc twin.
They Jordan, you talk about sitting sideways in the back seat of the Samurai. They just had one sideways jump seat in the back. It held 3 people, not
That's
4.
so much more useful.
And what I read about the reason for that 3rd seat and not 4 seats is because to keep it under the 3-meter length requirement of a K-class vehicle, the spare tire was behind the driver's seat.
And then you had the seat back in front of, like, next to the spare tire, and then a pedestrian passengers kind of wedged in with their knees up around their nose. Yeah.
So then they brought him to the U.S. as the Samurai with a few more, and it's funny to call them more road going or luxury options because they were the most Spartan vehicle probably you could buy at the time, the most agricultural road going vehicle. A couple funny things about it: the left-hand drive version that I'm familiar with, and probably you, the hood release cable handle was in the glove compartment on the right side of the vehicle. I always assumed that was a holdover from most of these were probably right-hand drive, produced for Japanese markets and things like that. And they're like, we don't really need to change that. People don't open the hood that often. We'll just put it in the glove compartment. They did, I mentioned, have some 2-wheel drive ones. I saw one of these one time while looking for ones to buy. And it had a dummy transfer case. So there was a piece behind the transmission taking up the same space as a transfer case. And a straight tube axle front end that wasn't, had no differential or gears in it. That's what they did to make a 2-wheel drive one. So it would be real easy to convert one to 4-wheel drive if you found one, I think.
So the reason they did that is because these had offset axles. Like I think Land Rover does it too, or at least older ones. So the rear input pinion housing was offset to the driver's side, I think. So the transfer case has an input, and then both outputs to the front and rear axles are
in line.
On the lower portion of the transfer case. So yeah, if you're going to do a two-wheel drive version, you can't just make a longer drive shaft like normal and have a standard output. You have to have the weird side drop. Anyway, the other part was that I think they had divorced transfer cases, which is really uncommon.
Yes,
so
I believe you're right.
Yeah, the transfer case and the transmission were not bolted together per se. They had a really short drive shaft, I think.
I think they were divorced, as you say, and they were not bolted together. Their cases were not bolted together, as in a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
that we
I think
see these days.
I was looking at U-joints, and I was like, oh, there's 6 of them under here.
That's too many.
Yeah, but I do know that people would use the transmissions in rear-wheel drive applications of the Suzuki G-Series engine and other stuff. Like if you wanted to make a really tiny rear-wheel drive engine package for, say, your MG Midget, you could use the Suzuki
Swift GT engine.
Yeah, the G10 BB or whatever, the 1-liter twin cam engine, and it'll bolt to the Samurai transmission, and then you've got a 5-speed overdrive. And the whole package weighs like 300 pounds.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's
22 inches long from crank snout to
it's real small.
Slip yoke.
And it made that engine I think was 100
It's the size
horsepower.
of a toddler. If that toddler weighed 300 pounds and was made of cast iron.
I'm sure there was aluminum in there somewhere.
Cast iron toddler would be a great wrestling ring name.
I was actually thinking metal band, but sure.
Also true.
That also was another Parks and Rec reference that I got the size of the child-sized soda.
If the child were liquefied,
it's roughly the size.
512 ounces named the child size. It's the size of a 4-year-old child if the child were liquefied.
So yeah, that was the information that I kind of pulled up to discuss. I guess that leaves us now with the would you own one or would you buy one category. And who wants to go first? Because one of us hasn't owned one yet.
Why is everybody looking at me?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is I have been like hardcore shopping. Not the Samurai, but the Pajero Mini, which is another K car. It's imagine a Samurai who's gone to like finishing school.
That's in Isuzu, right?
It's Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi. Okay.
So it's the K class Mitsubishi SUV. There's a guy in Arkansas who sells them on the regular, and they are the size of a Samurai, but they have independent front suspension and a turbo 660cc triple. And I'm like, that would be a little more civilized, and I think I could actually drive that in most places and actually be happy to do it. And they're about $5,000. Would I buy a Samurai? I haven't seen a Samurai that wasn't owned by either of you two mugs in the last, I don't know how long.
Yeah.
You know, they rusted hard. Most of them were rolled and thrown away. I mean, they were never... Common is not the right word to describe them. They were around, but it was a relatively short production run, and I just remember seeing tons of trackers and sidekicks, which were their big brother. And I would totally buy a sidekick or tracker if I could find one with a 5-speed and 4-wheel drive.
I would take a Vitara as well, the newer version yet.
Yeah.
Even with an automatic, I think that would be all right for just a little kick-around 4-wheel
I had a roommate who had one of those that was a 4-door, and it was still super compact. But you could fit 4 people in it and go anywhere.
Well, and they had a V6, and it was a...
You could get a V6.
You could get one.
It
Not all
was
of
a
them
4-cylinder, but it was 4-cylinder, but
To continue on, I'm actually in the same camp as Alan. You can get a reasonably priced Jimny import, or the Pajero. I'm sorry, my Spanish is not up to Alan's.
Well,
it's Japanese.
It's Spanish.
But it's
Mitsubishi's a Japanese company.
But you rolled the J, which is not the way that they say that,
Is it
right?
Pajero? I didn't know.
Pajero
I've never
always.
known.
No,
It's the only thing he really gets upset about is when you make fun of his pronunciation.
I didn't know if it was Pajero or Pajero.
Anyway, yeah, the imports of this size class, you get 10 to 15 years newer tech. They're just the same but better. They're not, the Jimny is going to be almost identical except for better because it's got fuel injection and has not as much rust and whatever.
Right.
The Mitsubishi is a bit more civilized, but it's still, if you just want like a nice all-weather vehicle that you don't take on the interstate, that's great. And frankly, they're not any more expensive. Like under 10 grand will get you a nice one.
Yeah. And you'd probably have a hard time finding a nice Samurai for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah.
Get an adjacent vehicle, but
Well, so, and my experience probably isn't much different. They sold over 200,000 of these in the U.S., so you're right. They were around, but they were never plentiful.
Yeah.
Especially, and I think by the time they came onto my radar, they were getting kind of rare already.
All I remember about them is 15 years ago when I kind of was like looking for them like idly. They were way more expensive than they should have been, given the level of capability and what they were, and that people were asking Jeep money for what was essentially a 2/3 scale Jeep, and I would just look at it and be like, "Well, I'll just go buy a Jeep." Yeah. I didn't, but I would have if I were in that market,
And I've now having owned one, would I have one again? Sure. I don't have a need for one or a real use for one. If I owned a bunch of property and wanted to go horse around with it or use it for constructive purposes, it'd be cool. But side by sides are more capable, probably more comfortable, definitely faster. Not road legal, but again, Samurai's road legal, but it's scary to go or to try to go road speed. So I would have one again, but I don't think that's going to happen because they're just not out there.
Yeah.
If one showed up at a good deal, I'd be pretty picky with it because they are so rusty. And now I have a Jeep, and I can go online and order parts or get a catalog and order parts for it. It's got better parts availability than most of the stuff I own. Definitely better than any Suzuki Samurai. I don't think I'll probably end up with another one, but I did enjoy owning the one that I did own. And I'm with you, like a Tracker, if a Tracker came along or one of the Viteras, that was also a Tracker, right?
Yeah, they're all pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think the Suzuki kept going longer than the Chevy version, so maybe it had a bit more like the quality continued to rise over the Tracker. I think they maybe were also a bit more common to get those with a bit more luxury items. All the Trackers I've run into, both Geo and Chevy, have been like basement model. So
Well, and all of the Samurais were, I didn't really read much about options. I don't know if they even came with air conditioning.
mine had the button. I don't think it had much else, but it had a button that said AC on it. Mine was an 88.5 though.
Yeah.
Which is funny, but
yeah, but they didn't have, I mean, there weren't a lot of option packages you could get for them. They wouldn't have been any good at towing anything but a little utility trailer around property.
not true, because the previous life that mine lived, because there was one owner, Dan, who listens occasionally, who had it between, but he bought it from this guy who used it to move his fifth wheel around the property at slow speed.
Did he have a hitch on like the roll bar, like up top? Or
it may have been a camper, but no, there was a Dan kept it. It was like a 3/4 inch steel plate and it was sandwiched underneath the floor, just like like you would see on a 3/4 ton truck, with the ball sticking through it. So there was a hole in the floor, and there were mounts for this plate underneath the body.
I heard everything you just said, but no, they're not good at towing. That's not a valid example about how these are good.
Hey, Alex. If you properly option a 1978 Chevrolet Chevette, it can tow 4,800 pounds. We've been over this. Why are you such a wuss?
I want to go back to that actually, because I listened to that one recently, and it always bugs me whenever I hear myself say that, and we had a good laugh over it. Did they mean the gross vehicle, like the Chevette
I got no
and the
idea.
trailer would be $4,000? That still seems
That's a lot,
optimistic,
still.
but maybe that's what
Yeah.
was.
Because that's still a
maybe that's what they were
2,800
talking about.
pound trailer behind a 2,000. Well, that's a 2,000 pound trailer behind a 2,000 pound car and
Right.
800 pounds of people and stuff.
Yeah,
That's too much.
That's exactly.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
trying to picture a Chevette hauling like a Scamp fiberglass trailer down the highway, which is 1,500 pounds.
Yeah.
Just
If that.
the
still.
image
Yep.
is just killing me.
So we agree. Even though they say you can tow, doesn't mean you should tow.
Yeah,
Sounding a lot like Consumer Reports right now, Alex. Not acceptable for towing. All right, sometimes they get it right.
I can't imagine. Like I didn't have to work on the clutch for mine, thankfully, but I can't imagine the disc is bigger than like
Yeah.
7 inches.
Fritter.
Yeah, yeah, an apple fritter, and not a big one, like a normal one.
Smaller than a pork tenderloin sandwich.
Yeah, which just no. Yeah, don't hook your
Yeah.
twin axle flatbed trailer with a square
they're-
body Chevy on it.
They're a fun novelty, but and there's a lot of fans out there that that really want to tell you how awesome they are at everything, but most of them out there are not stock. They can make a very capable off-road toy, but you spend a lot of time and money getting them there, and you've got a toy,
Yeah, I think the best
which is fine.
argument for these is not against a vehicle. It's not against a Jeep. It's
Yep.
against a side by side. So like, you can go spend $20,000 on a mid-level side by side, which makes 60 horsepower. It's going to have an automatic, but or you can spend less than half that and get a nice Samurai that you can theoretically drive on the road from your campsite to the trail, which was sort of my thought process. And then I got it running and drove it, and I'm like, I don't want to put my children in this.
Yeah.
And then I also remembered that I've been on like one off-roading trip in like 10 years.
Right.
No, it's been 10 years since I've been done any of that. So like, it just didn't make sense for me. But if you're cross-shopping it against a newer side-by-side, it makes way more sense. None of us are going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know that it does make more sense. I think for most of the people that want a side-by-side's a better option.
Well,
Or considering if you're considering this versus
Sure.
that, you've got something that you can support. Whereas, evidently, if you work hard at it, you can get a lot of parts for Samurais because they're still building them, or they kept building them for a long time in other parts of the world. So,
yeah. Well, that engine got used in all sorts of stuff worldwide for decades. So
yeah.
stuff's available.
Well, we've exhausted Alan's attention span, so if the hosts aren't even engaged, I'm pretty sure we're losing the listeners too.
I'm shopping for Samurais on Facebook Marketplace. What are you talking about?
That's what's going on.
The one thing that I did enjoy is you could put a 235 75/15 tire on it, and that looked pretty big.
Yeah.
So I spent $300 on tires,
Yeah.
and versus to get the same ratio, you're looking at least 33s on a Wrangler.
Yep.
And
So
now that's
you bought the
eight-
Walmart Goodyear Wranglers?
Well,
That's what I bought for mine.
I
Dude,
mean,
they're
they
so
were-
great.
Yeah,
Like-
they came from
Yeah.
Amazon, but yes.
Yeah.
No, they were the $88 a tire kind of.
Yeah, I put those on my Toyota truck.
That's
and
what's on that Mazda B3000 outside.
on at least one of them. Like
It's on 3 of them. One of them has a hole. I
Okay.
can't find it, so it's possibly patchable. But anyway, yeah. I don't know. I think if you want to go serious off-roading, it is relatively inexpensive versus other things, particularly due to the weight. You can just use
Yeah.
lighter stuff.
Yeah, that is very
Yeah.
true. That can make a lot of
You
people
don't-
love them for off-road stuff.
You don't break as much stuff. You don't sink in as much if it's soft. And yeah, they really do have a lot of off-road shops.
You're right. You don't have to have heavy duty equipment, parts, axles, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
But then now we're back to just comparing it with side by sides, which are going to be almost identical,
Right.
but more capable. So anyway,
Yeah, when we did a little bit of off-roading around here with my Samurai, and there was another Samurai, yet another Samurai. I think a Jeep showed up and a tracker. But when we'd get stuck, the side-by-sides would come tug us out. Like, that's that was cheating.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Send us an email at junkconnoisseur@gmail.com, or find us on Facebook. Send us a message there. Please share us with your friends if you got folks who are into cars and podcasts. Let them know. Thanks, and stay fresh, cheese bags. There, we're doing the pantomime portion of the podcast.
39 years ago.
Hand signals.
Yeah, but the lawsuit was in the 90s.
Oh.
Oh, snap. Did you just try to school me on legal history, son?